Hi, everyone. Welcome back to this new episode of our Student Spotlight series, where we are able to showcase some of the work that our previous students have been doing. So my name is Charlotte. I am the outreach coordinator here at CCIR, and it's our pleasure today to have with us Sarvesh, who took our entrepreneurship fundamentals to kick off your business idea this past year in 2021. So why don't you introduce yourself, say where you're from, what got you interested in doing CCIR, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Charlotte. So I'm Sarvesh. I am in my sophomore year of high school. I am originally born and brought up from Bangalore. And basically in my school, there are no research classes. And I really wanted to do something that I could gain my expertise in. And I was always attracted to starting my own business and, analyzing startups. So that's what got me choosing this whole topic about kicking off your business. Yeah. And I had a wonderful experience with CCIR, and the program was so well structured that I chose it amongst many others. Initially, like within a week or something, I was able to make a choice and I went on with it.
Cool. And can you tell us a bit about what you explored in your course?
Perfect. So my topic was about disruptive innovation. So if I were to give up a brief about it, so I chose kicking off a business idea as my main research topic. So when I joined the class, and we brainstormed almost 15 to 20 ideas and research topics, and we came across to one, we bottled it down to one. So my main topic of research was analyzing the impact of timing on the success of disruptive technologies that led them to penetrate the market, their respective markets deeply and outside their respective markets as well. So I essentially viewed different components of the firm as a disruptive innovation and other aspects that were associated with.
And for just the lay general non-business people, can you give a brief description of what disruptive innovation is?
Perfect. So disruptive innovation is like a term that is frequently used in recent times. It's basically the development of a few companies that are wiping out their competitors from the market with their new technologies and immense problem-solving abilities. So typically the idea that people think about when they hear disruptive innovation is something that happened overnight and suddenly they had a boom in their sales or their technology or their product. But it's not completely correct to assume, and it's almost not true in most cases. So disruption is a whole process, and the term disruptive innovation is misleading when it's used to refer a product or service rather than the evolution of a product or a service. So I think that's about it.
Cool. And can you say, you said in your topic you looked at, or sorry, through your research, you looked at two companies, correct?
Right.
And there was Tesla and the Urban Company.
Right.
So I think everyone probably knows what Tesla is. Can you give a brief overview of what the Urban Company is as well?
Yeah. Okay, so to begin with, Urban Company is basically it started off as an application that integrates unstructured services into a structured style, and it offers the customers the convenience of using these services from one's home. For example, I recently shifted into my apartment and I do not know anyone here and I'm not in the city and I want to have someone clean it thoroughly before I move in, right? So in India, there are so many unemployed such services, unemployed people who work for such services, but there's no proper organization that they can talk to. It's usually through the word of mouth or through other people, which in this case is impossible to convey. So Urban Company links both these professionals and the people who need such services all in one application so they can integrate and use these services easily. So that's what they have started off with. And recently they have diversified into many other channels, such as beauty, but beauty, cleaning, and other kind of stuff. Yeah.
And can you talk a bit about what you found in your research? So highlight a few of your key findings.
Right. So in my whole research, I tried to establish what a disruptive innovation was. And that was my first half of the research. And the second half of my research was about timing. So timing is a very vague word to use in almost every case. So I describe timing in the term of disruptive technologies in order to understand, in order to take out the inferences that I was able to make. So the main inferences that I came out was to connect all of this to timing, taking into account the company's idea or core value. It stayed similar in almost each case, but it developed over time as the technology advanced, or concentrating more on the element of innovation and solving issues that arose day by day among the customers. So evolving and diversifying along with time. Over here, time refers to the situational, technological, socio-economic, and geopolitical developments. So these disruptive innovations, they evolved along with these timing situations. So that's what made them thrive extensively.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our new episode of our Student Spotlight series, where we're able to showcase some of the work our past students have done. So I'm Charlotte, and it is my pleasure to welcome Sarvesh today, who took our entrepreneurship fundamentals to kick off your business idea in November of 2021. So why don't you start by introducing yourself, tell us why you participated in CCIR, where you're from, what your academic interests are, anything like that.
Thank you, Charlotte. So, hi everyone, I'm Sarvesh. I'm in my sophomore year of high school. I'm born and brought up in Bangalore. And in my school, there are many classes through research that I can, develop my whole ideas into kind of a research paper. And I was really inspired by startups all around the world that actually turned out to be immensely disruptive, and they kind of became giants. And I also wanted to learn about the different ways that they created their whole company. So I chose the topic fundamentals to kick off your business idea. And I went on with my research topic on disruptive innovations and timing. And I researched it with Professor Stephen Akasi. He's a PhD student at Cambridge. So I had a really good experience with him. And I think it was a good choice making CCIR.
Cool. And for the lay person who is not knowledgeable of the business world, can you explain a bit what disruptive innovation is?
Sure, cool. So in a layman's term, disruptive innovation is basically a term that was used very frequently in recent times with development of few companies that are wiping their competitors out of their market, and the new technologies and their immense problem-solving abilities. So typically the idea that usually comes to mind on hearing the term disruptive innovation is something that it's not something that happened overnight and suddenly had a boom in its sales. This is completely incorrect to assume, and it's almost not true in most cases. Disruption is a whole process, and the term disruptive innovation is misleading when it's used to refer to a product or a service rather than the evolution of the product or the service over time. So yeah, that's about it.
And in your research, you talked about two companies, one being Tesla and the other being the Urban Company. Can you give us an overview of what your findings were and how these companies are different compared to other companies in the market?
Perfect. So I think most of us know about Tesla. I can just give a brief about the Urban Company. So the Urban Company started off with the idea that primarily focuses on integrating unstructured services into a structured style and offering the customers the convenience of using these services from one's own home. So I researched about the disruptive innovation of these two particular companies, Tesla and Urban Company, along with the aspect of timing. That was the other half of my research. And timing can imply many different meanings in different cases. So to connect all of this to timing, taking into account the company's idea or core value stayed similar in each case. So both Tesla and Urban Company developed over time as the technology advanced, and they concentrated more on the element of innovation and solving issues that arose day by day among customers. So this prevented any other disruptive innovation from coming into the market and throwing them off again. So the main key research, the main key result that I came across was evolving and diversifying along with time over here, time refers to the situational, technological, socioeconomic, and geopolitical developments can make these disruptive innovations thrive extensively.
Cool. So basically, if I can wrap my head around this as a non-business person, these companies differ because they're more adaptable, basically. So a lot of people think that disruptive innovation is just coming up out of nowhere, but it's really just adapting with the times, which makes sense in a time where things are evolving so quickly. A company would need to be very adaptable.
Exactly.
That's really cool. And can you tell me did anything surprise you from your findings, or was this kind of what you were thinking all along?
Right. So when I began with this research topic, I just focused upon disruptive innovation, and I was thinking I'll just focus upon these two companies and analyze their findings and like come to a conclusion, like on all cases on different particular aspects. So that would have been almost a book if I would do a research paper on it. So I chose the element of timing because it was really, really impactful, and it was kind of the most important element. So initially, when I began, I thought disruptive innovation was just like coming up with a technology that wasn't there in the market, and you just like thrive. You don't do much, like you just run your whole company. You don't evolve more. But then the element of evolving was given so much importance rather than just coming up. Imagine I came up with a company and it solves a real world problem, but then I don't evolve with time. It's basically going to die. That's exactly what happened with Kodak as well when they began with their film and they did not transfer into the digital market. So the thing that I didn't know before I started this research was about how much of impact these companies were trying to focus on the element of evolving and innovating with time, and also the amount of effort they're trying to put into solving their customers' problems. It was immense, and I did not know they concentrated so much on it, and as well as timing. So the amount of resources that they put in the element of technology and the amount of time that they invest in just knowing what's there in the market that was something that I didn't know about.
And you mentioned Kodak a few minutes ago. Can you explain what happened to them?
Right. So I used the word Kodak, like the company Kodak, in the last part of my research paper in my conclusion. So to give a little bit of a brief, so films and printing sheets were eventually phased out as technology advanced. So in 1975, digital cameras came across. So, but Kodak, the huge the huge giant of photos and like basically pictures, disregarded the digital camera's possibilities and they declined to take action. So the creator of the digital camera, his name is Steven Sasson, I believe. He worked for Kodak as an electric engineer when he created this technology. So Steven's supervisors used this word. They said that it's cute, but don't tell anyone about it. So he was highly criticized for this idea. He was actually told it was like putting a foot in your mouth. But with the introduction of digital cameras and other technologies, Kodak gradually lost its appeal. And it's the polar opposite of what Tesla and Urban Club adopted in the terms of evolving with technologies as time passed.
Interesting. I never knew that. And from your findings and from this theory in general, what do you think would be your kind of key takeaway or headliner for new businesses or new companies trying to disrupt their markets? What do you think that this theory and this research means for that?
Perfect. So if I were to say something in a line, I would want them to, first of all, focus on their market initially. And as they launch into their market, they should evolve and diversify, and they should have enough knowledge about their market in such a way that any competitor that is trying to enter, they research them well enough and incorporate the good elements of their company into their own corporation in order to actually thrive And once they start doing that, it's going to be very impossible to cut them off because they would have built such a huge reach and they would have enough market penetration that it would take a lot of time for them to go out. But if they keep evolving and diversifying, I'm trying to focus more on the term evolving and diversifying because that is what I think was most important for these companies to do, even after they launched the market and were well established.
Very, very cool. All right. Thank you for that. And then let's take a step back and talk about your experience with CCIR and doing this program. So in general, can you tell me a bit about how your experience writing this research paper, how it compared to regular high school level research that you've done in the past?
Right. So in my high school, first of all, there weren't any research classes. I took the initiative with a few of my friends who were interested in research to actually start a research class. So we had a biology research class and a business research class. So I attended the business research class. So in those classes, the professor had limited knowledge about the course, as in they knew much, but due to the classes, uh, like they weren't able to explain much outside the topic. So if I wanted to ask a question that was related deeply and somewhere underlying within the topic, I wouldn't get a clear answer. And mostly it was something that most of the other people as well, they weren't able to get a perfect answer from what they wanted to actually deal with. So with CCIR, I was able to delve into my research topic perfectly. And actually, my professor and we brainstormed so many ideas that now I've got almost 5 to 6 different research ideas that we've already started working on. So he guided me really well. And the main element that differed from a normal high school research class and maybe CCIR was the aspect of mentorship from a professor who knows almost everything in this area that I wanted to deal with. And he had an answer for every single question. And he appreciated me for going on to different kind of research topics and choosing one. So I think it was really, really memorable for me.
Cool. That is one of the things that we love about our programs and our mentors as well, is that all of our programs and everything that our students in a one-on-one program do is so niche that it's often something that isn't able to be explored in the high school level with 20, 30 other students. So that is something that we love about our courses. And can you talk to me a bit about how you transitioned through the learning aspect of your course and the research part of your course, and how and what your relationship with your mentor looked like through that?
Perfect. So to lay it broadly, we had a 13-week program. So initially it was approximately 7 weeks of learning. So we dealt with different, almost all aspects of analyzing a whole business. We went upon their business model and understood the 9 key elements that were there in their business model. And we also dealt with different kinds of companies, different graphs, data analysis of how companies came up, along with one of the topics in the I think the last session was about disruptive innovation, and that really like blew my mind away. And I spoke about this with my professor and even my TA, Edward, and all of us really wanted to go with this topic initially itself, but then I came up with other topics as well, and we started into a discussion. But my whole relationship with my professor was really, really nice. I think he was really approachable almost all of the time. And even after class, when I used to send him emails, I used to get replies within almost an hour or so. So right after class, if a doubt came across my mind, or if something that I wanted to ask him came across my mind, I used to send him an email, or like I used to like kind of like state a question to him, and he used to come back to me always. And sometimes he also used to discuss it in class. So I had only one other person with me in my class, so two of us with one professor. So it was a really great experience, and both of us really enjoyed it because we were able to talk more. We were able to express our ideas more, and it was literally like a 2:1 ratio, which is extremely rare to find in my school classes, which is almost like a 50:1 ratio. So
Yeah.
you cannot build that kind of a bond, and you cannot ask deep questions that much.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. And how has this course, if at all, given you any insights into your future and your career path?
Right. So, what my plan was before and even right now, after I'm done with the course, was to start something of my own, basically a startup that solves a real world problem. And I'm really inspired by the process of building something that is completely yours from scratch, and see it grow all throughout, and solve people's problems. That was my main element that I started off, and also that during the course, when I learned about these different companies, this idea and like a dream of mine actually boosted. And the course gave me so many learnings that I can actually apply when I'm creating my own startup, maybe in the future, or right now, I guess we have enough resources to do that. So this course gave me a lot of insights into how each company starts off, and how different ideas and elements of business and entrepreneurship can be included while you're starting your own company. So it has definitely, given a boost to my career ideas, I guess. So yeah, that was
Cool.
really.
Do you have an idea of what you would want, what field you would want your business to be in?
Yeah, so I think I've thought about this question almost 15 to 20 times before I sleep every time. So I fall asleep, and then I have a dream or something, and then I start thinking about what I want to do. So basically, a while ago, I actually kind of started a startup, but then it didn't work out. In my seventh grade in middle school, I was inspired back then as well. So I started something of an application that would integrate all the government schemes on one kind of an app. That wasn't really a startup or a disruptive innovation. It was basically an application that had all the government schemes listed in one place rather than on a website. But that was kind of a stepping stone for me. So the startup that I want to do is something that solves like a climate or a huge problem that maybe comes up in the future with different kind of technologies, and I would like to employ this so that the world can maybe be less polluted, and like it would be easier for all of us to sustain for the future generations as well.
Beautiful. That's very nice. All righty. And then one last question for you. What would you say to someone, specifically a high school student, who asked you what the value of doing a research project or a program like this is?
Okay, so if someone was to ask me that question, the first thing I would say is go for it, because right now you have enough time. I guess, hopefully, if you're not bombarded with extracurriculars, you have enough time and enough resources to do that kind of research in the topic that you actually like. So maybe in the case that you like some other topic, for example, biology, and you want to do research in neuroscience, and you're really inspired by it, and you want to be a neurosurgeon, or you want to be maybe a doctor in some other field. So you could actually get real hands-on experience with what you like, and you can explore the different career options that are there in it as well while you're going on throughout the course, and you can learn so much. And maybe if that's something that you do not like, you will also get sort of an insight that I really like doing this, but I cannot do it for my whole life, or I cannot pursue it as my career. And you can get that kind of an insight, that maybe you will save a lot of years and time and investment in your life that right now you could really benefit from.
That's good advice. All right. Thanks so much for chatting with me, and congrats again on your nomination to our Spotlight series.
Thank you so much. I had a really great talk with you, and I hope other students also can take a few insights from here and maybe apply next year or this year as well.
All right. Have a nice night.
Thank you.